there we are. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the stream here. I certainly hope you guys are doing great today, because hopefully it's doing better than I was, because I've been having some issues with my computer and with the stream today. So, you guys didn't know, well, to kind of fill you guys in a little bit, after Friday's stream went great. I don't know what went on afterwards, but for some reason, the computer decided to start locking up. Both the CPU and the memory all of a sudden just spiked to 100%. And so I'm not sure why. I'm still trying to figure out what in the world is going on with it. But I think I got at least it going okay for today. But then I go on and start setting up the stream for today, and the camera won't work at all. Don't know why. So I had to try a couple different things, had to reset a few things. I finally got it working, but you guys knew I actually was a little late today. But it does happen. I see John in the chat there. Hello, John. So yeah, it just, I don't know. I was having some issues with it, but I think I got things working. And if you guys can hear, so I've got Planet Coaster going in the background, but it's not quite loaded yet. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys and see kind of a little bit what happened to me that, you know, while I was a little late and all that. So I usually have this up and going pretty early. Just to make sure, because this game, if you look over here, I don't have the game actually set up on the game capture yet. But as some of you know, if you played Planet Coaster at all, you know this can take a while to load sometimes, especially in situations or in parks that have a lot of stuff. And usually the game's actually not too bad if you're playing just like a campaign or something like that. It's usually not too bad to load. But there's actually some interesting stuff. So yesterday was Planet Coaster's 4th birthday, which is kind of cool. Released yesterday. It's like I've been playing it for 4 years, but you know I've been playing it for probably close to 3 years, maybe, probably somewhere around in there. And also now it's available for Mac, which I don't know why you'd buy it for a Mac, but you can now buy it for Mac. It came out for console last week, so now it should be, I think, released on every and all platform, which is really neat to see. We might be, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, this is how this is going to go. But since they've brought in a bunch of new users, they might bring out some more content for it, which would be kind of cool to see. Or they come up with Planet Coaster 2 here soon, or at least announce it. Either way, I think it'd be kind of cool to see. I really think, though, they've kind of hit their limit with this game. Like, all right, it might be time for another game, even though, you know, trying to start a new game, or I got a feeling it's probably already under development, at least starting it. They probably use, well, if you actually look at Planet Zoo takes a lot of stuff from Planet Coaster, and then, of course, adds some of the new stuff for animals, things like that. I really think they're going to take a lot of stuff they took from Planet Zoo and bring that into Planet Coaster 2. Which I think would be interesting, because the pathing system I think is better in there. They have a spline tool in there that actually works out really well for fencing and things like that, which I think would be awesome in a game like this, especially doing like curbs and fencing and stuff like that would be really helpful there. So, man, game's not. This game is because I actually also have my task manager up just to make sure, because some of you do, some of you don't know. I do actually do IT outside of when I'm working. When I'm on days I don't stream, I actually am working in IT, and so I've been trying to see, you know, what my computer's doing. I have to diagnose it, see what it's trying to do. And this game's a bit of a drain on the computer resources, so hopefully it'll be up here in just a moment. We'll be able to jump in and start continue actually working on our entrance that we were working on. Technically the past 2 streams. The first stream, if you were here, we actually did the ticket booth for the entrance. Now we've moved on to the main gate itself. Kind of the goal today is I want to try to get the actual archway that you walk through done. I want to maybe redo our guest relations department. I think that's a really big thing. I probably will take out the information centers that are there and actually do like a custom interior guest relations. I'll keep the bathrooms there. We'll probably redo where they're at, things like that. And then I kind of want to work on the locker area as well. I kind of just want to redo it to make it look more like we have it. Like we have it in kind of in the same style. And I think that'll help kind of match everything. I think the entrance was kind of an odd thing, because it was very southwestern looking. Had the clay roof, had the like adobo style, something like that. And don't think it fit in anywhere. Whereas I think what we're going to do, it fits more into the story of the park and things like that. So I think we're kind of on the right track. We just kind of got it to, complete the rest of it. You see here, I see the game slowly starting to fade in. Because this thing's a bit of a, ooh boy, I'm looking at my computer and it is not, it's fine. But it's like memory and CPU is above 70%, which is not usually great. But, so yeah, here we are in game here. So you can see here, this is the original ticket booth we were working on. The first stream we were working on the entrance. We actually completed that last time, added all the lanterns and everything around. Excuse me, hold on. Something in my throat. That's better. So we kind of worked on this ticket booth area, things like that. Then last stream, if you were here, we actually did work on this area of the entrance. I think it looks really nice in and of itself. But if you look on the back side here, we do have the old adobo styling and things like that. And I kind of want to get rid of that today. Kind of want to redo this entire area and see what we can come up with. So, first things first, let's go ahead and start editing this building. I think I want to go ahead and jump over here to the right side. Or do I want to start with the restrooms? Let's do the restrooms first, just because this is going to take a little bit longer. This is the guest relations side as well as the lockers. I kind of want to get rid of all this as well. So, first thing I want to do though is actually go over to Google. Pull up a Google web page here and look up the boardwalk at in Walt Disney World. Let's see, because that's what I've based a lot of my boardwalk on, is the Boardwalk Hotel at Disney. And it's a pretty well done place, but there is some stuff I do kind of want to model it on, not quite directly on, but kind of give you that idea of the boardwalk. So I'm just kind of looking through photos real quick to see what might work and what might not. So I will warn you guys today, this stream might be a little bit different because of the fact that I have had a few of those issues with my computer. So if you see some stuff that is like stuttering, or it might look like I froze for a minute, it's very well that I did, and I'm still still trying to work out the kinks and what is going on. I hate to say it, I really don't want to have to rebuild my entire computer, which I hate to say it might be likely, but because we're getting this computer's probably around. I've had to change out a few parts on it, but it's probably getting close to 6 years old, the CPU and the motherboard, and motherboard lifetime, especially since for what I use it for and how much I use it, it can be getting kind of worn out and stuff like that. The CPU I've had some issues with. Even got a letter from AMD saying that it might be faulty. So it's something. So it might be getting towards the time that we might need to start looking at maybe get a new motherboard CPU for the computer. Not cheap though, unfortunately. That was kind of the issue that was coming up. So I'm also looking at there's a couple. If you look at Walt Disney World, there actually is a couple places around there that I'm looking at to see maybe that we can use. One of them is it's the Yacht and Beach Club, and then the Boardwalk. These are kind of three I'm looking at. So if you guys are curious of where I'm kind of coming from for this idea. So there's one part I'm trying to think how I want to do this. Let me see if I can find. That's kind of okay. I was trying to think of there's a way I want to do this, and I had to figure out how I wanted to do it. So I think that's all right. I found the photos I'm looking for, so that is good. Go ahead and shrink this down so I can see the chat again. And hold on 1 second here. Go in here. There we go. Alright, so back in the game here. Go ahead. Crap, I forgot to pull up the photo. There it is. Alright, so first thing I want to do is actually kind of get rid of this sub. You know what? I think I want to redo, like, this is going to have a major construction. I don't have the fences up anymore. So, I mean, our guest will just kind of have to dodge the debris as we're tearing this down. But I think we're actually going to tear down this entire section here. I know. I have an idea. I've been looking at... That's not what I wanted to do. I've been looking at how the boardwalk and the yacht club and stuff like that have been doing their stuff, and there's not a lot of breezeways like this. However, there is, if you ever go to the boardwalk, there actually is a really neat how they do like their main building for their hotel. They do have like a U-shaped courtyard, like kind of in the. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. In the middle of their courtyard, and I kind of want to emulate that. So go ahead, and what I'm going to do is first off slide these back to where they're about even, because I don't know quite what I'm going to be doing with this section yet. I do kind of have some idea for it, but I wanted to open up this area a little bit more. Kind of give a little more openness to this area. I quite like how it's starting to look a little bit better now. I'm just gonna nuke all this. Where are these at? Looks like they're in a different building. Like, where is that? That might just be placed on the side there. So, all right, let's get rid of these last couple of bits here. And the lanterns as well. Alright, so now we've got this nice open plaza area here. I also noticed that there is, this one for some reason is just raised up. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. Oh, that's an issue. Alright, let's delete that. And copy this one. See if this one I can place. There we go. That looks better. So now that we've got this open area now, we can kind of do... Essentially, the idea is I'm going to create, it looks like two extensions to this building. One over here, one over here. And I'm actually going to make this not quite a separate building, but this will look like it's something you can actually walk into and out of, essentially, is kind of the idea. So I do want to get rid of this door here. Well, I can't get rid of the door. Why can't I get rid of the door? I could probably just place it on there, to be honest with you. We're ripping all this down. Come on. Alright, let's see. So, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. So now that we've got all this torn down, we can actually go ahead and actually add in our arches from over here. Let's go ahead and get to their correct size and grid. Can we? I think what we can do is just do that. We'll have to fill in the gap here a little bit, but that is fine with me. It's like, oh, why it keeps resetting to there? I don't know. All right, that's a bit odd. I don't know why it's doing that. It needs to be moved out a little bit more. You can delete that building there and this one. So I can see a little bit better here. I don't know why it's moving this out to there. So I'm going ahead. That's going to be the edge of the building anyway. So we'll leave that one there. We're going to duplicate another one, place it there. Then we'll go in here, split this from the building, and then move it to where I want to move it. So let's see here. Something like there. I think that'll work. To be honest with you, the arch is a little off anyways. That's really odd. You know what? I bet you $10 this is the wrong building. So let me redo this. So arch, looking for the painted arch, which is that's the, no, it's not really what I want there. What's this called? That is called the painted wood plank rounded. Painted wood. I guess it's this one, which actually I need the half arch because of what we're doing here. Let's also get the correct paint on it. Oh, this baby blue is kind of what's painted this, but I think it looks pretty good. Get that back down to there. So now we have the issue this thing's over what it should be. So what we'll do, I'll do what I kind of did on the other side, is split this from the building, hit X, and slide to where I want it, because it's kind of the easiest way I've seen to do it. So there we go. So there is our new kind of archway for this restroom here. So we'll walk in here. I do want to redo the interior here, so let's go ahead and do that as well. Which honestly, we might be able to, we might should lower the actual arches themselves. So let's split it from this building and let's X. Let's slide this down. I mean, we're talking maybe to there. Because to be honest with you, these arches are way too tall for kind of the scale of the building. So, but unfortunately, we have to use the same scale as the wood walls and stuff like that. We can kind of force it to make it look like it's a smaller building. So what we'll do is, like, technically this is all one floor, but we can put a line here to make it look like there's a second floor on top of here. It's kind of the idea what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and we want to go in here maybe and see if maybe we can actually use this to get our covers for our bathrooms here. Come on, where is the wood piece I selected? Oh, I didn't select it. I guess I just favorited it. Go ahead and go in here, paint it the blue that we want, and turn all this down. Go. So there is kind of that's a better height for the bathrooms. I do want to redo kind of how they look though, because just having them out like that is kind of boring. But I think if we can bring in this arch just a little bit more, something right there and there, we might have to move that one. Well, maybe not. I thought we might need to move that one in just a little bit. Centennial Edge, I'm not doing too bad, sir. How you doing? We're just working on our entrance here. We actually tore apart most of the entrance already and are redoing it just rather quickly, just to try to get this, try to get it done, you know, or try to get it, you know, really kind of do what it should have been done the first time. I wasn't a huge fan of the original entrance to this park, and so decided to do this be a good thing to work on, see what we can do with it. And so far I think it's turned out really well, especially the ticket office and stuff like that. That was kind of the first thing we did, but now we're working on this part here, and I think it's starting to turn out a little bit better. So let's go ahead and tear down these walls here. I might leave that door there. It's a good place for employees to come in and out of anyways, and so it may not be the worst thing to keep around. That piece as well. Let's go ahead and move back over to here. Duplicate this door. Slide that over there, and we'll put these walls up over here. It's a little bit odd tearing down something that you've worked on for a while like that. I mean, number one, I wanted to, so it wasn't as bad, but it's a little odd. It's like, and we already called this done, and then we're back here tearing it apart and redoing it. Let's get rid of all these. Did I just delete something I didn't want to? I don't know. I might have. Alright, so let's copy this. There and there. So now we have a little bit more of kind of what we're going for, and I quite like how it looks. It's starting to look a little bit more uniform. I kind of like, it's starting to fit in, I think, more with the boardwalk scene there. If you kind of look from the water's edge, you can kind of see where I'm going with it. So let's go ahead and delete these, last little wood pieces. So now I want to do a smaller roof here. Do I want to do a 1 meter or 2 meter pitched roof? It's kind of a good question. And the reason I'm trying to think what I want to do is that, do I want to emulate kind of what the ones on top are, because it would kind of make it look a little more uniform, or do I want to kind of cut it down just a little bit and kind of make it look a little bit unique, a little bit different than the actual roof itself? And I'm thinking I might just want to do a little bit smaller. Kind of like if this is a sunroom or something like that off to the side of the main building, so it wouldn't technically get the entire, like it wouldn't get the full roof, but it would get most of the roof, I would say. I think that works out pretty well. And I think I used a wood roof on top, so let me go ahead and put the wood roof on there. We're gonna need the 1 meter. There we go. So we need to paint it black because we were using a black wood roof. Don't know why, but we did. I think it just kind of looks the best with the with what we got there. 2, 3, and we'll rotate this around. 1, 2, and 3. Now let's do this. Bring it back over here. Oh, I messed that one up a little bit. Let's fix that really quick. Let's duplicate this one. Like that. So now we get a little bit of an overhang for our building here. We'll do the same on the backside, even though we're probably going to be the only ones that actually see this part. And that is just fine with me. Duplicate it. And boosh. And boosh. There we go. And so there is that. Now I do want to do one more. I want to bring this. Oh, hold on. You have to be 4 pieces, but that is okay. So there and there. There. Oh, that's probably actually a little too far. I'll show you what I'm doing here in just a moment. Let me get these in place here. So there and there. So I want to take those 4 pieces I just placed and split them from the building. Move it in, and then I want to move them in. I do want to have a little bit of an overhang on this edge, but not like it was not. I didn't want a full 1 meter. I just kind of wanted a little bit of an overhang, and I think that looks a little bit better than what we had there. So I think that's actually not a bad little place here. I think we can put some just details around here as well. So let's go ahead and get the some of the trim around here. Can't do that one, so I'll have to duplicate it. We also need to do some trim around the kind of the mid-section of the wall. So there and there, and we will delete this section of it. Which is funny enough, I used the same molding. I didn't realize that until just now, but I used the same exact molding just in brown for the original entrance, and now I've used the original one, or this one now in white, to kind of accent the new entrance, which is kind of funny. Didn't realize that, but it did happen. Alright, so there is that piece done. Now I gotta figure out where I want to put that. This is the thing. I need to put some sort of trim piece or something along either the top. I might just do it around the top here. I think that might work out the best here. So let's see what kind of. I know which one I'm going to use. You know what, though? Something like this thick wood beam, which looks massive, and fair enough, it is. But if I rotate this onto its side, and then paint this the white, or really the cream color we were using, and then pull this up to here, it gives us a little bit cleaner line than the wood piece I was going to use. So something like that, maybe. Oh, look at that! Perfect. Yeah, it looks a lot. I think it looks a little bit cleaner than what we're going to use. So I think we just continue on like this. So I think we might go back with the rest of it and do it this way as well. Let's see here. Let's pull this down to there. There we go, and we'll just continue this along the top here and connect it in with the main building itself. Kind of like that. I think so far it doesn't look too bad. We do, you know what? A restroom sign would probably not be the worst thing to put here. Just to kind of set off the buildings a little bit more. To actually kind of show, for flying around here, what would be inside of here. And I accidentally clicked out a Theme Maker's Toolkit. Let's try that again. Let's try to go for a sign. Gotta find the restroom signs now. I know I had more than just that one. Guess I only had the men's and women's. Alright, well we can, ooh, it's a little bigger than I thought. I swear I had a different sign than that. Let's see if I can find them really quick. Because I swear I had a small, kind of like that I thought I had, but I could be wrong. So we'll do a quick search here and see what we can find. Nope. A lot of merchandising. It's always a good thing. The danger signs. It's a locker sign. No smoking, handicap parking. It's remain seated sign. Always important though. And come on, where? Oh, here they are. This is what I was looking for. They call it the toilet signs. So actually, I'm gonna use this one here. There we go. And we can actually put those in there. We can use something similar to that over by the far side of the 90 section gondola station. So I think that kind of has a little more detail to it. I think that looks pretty good. Actually, I think I have an idea for this space, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. I want to see if I can find. There might be a Theme Maker's Toolkit item that I might need for this one, but I think it'll work. I think it'll look pretty good, but I just want to put that on hold for right there. But I do think this wall needs something. Maybe put some windows in here and maybe on the end here. That might help us a little bit better. As you can see here, I just used some smaller wooden windows to get that kind of look going. A wooden beam like this across the bottom here probably would not look, or probably would not be bad at all. Just kind of I'm trying a few things to kind of make it look a little bit better. Kind of breaking up this blue as much as I can. Where did that beam go? There it is. All right, let's just slide it in there. I think that looks pretty good. Especially since originally the roof kind of came up this high and now we don't have anything. I think that looks pretty good. So now let's get the windows down here. I'm just going to duplicate them. And then bring them down here. And then I can actually make another window out of them. These windows aren't too hard to make if you are curious. All you do, just slide it over there. There's two windows. And then we were doing a double stack of these. So, like that. I think these look pretty good. I kind of wish they had some taller windows. Like there was... I've been looking kind of at photos, and they have these really long, skinny windows that would be really nice to have. But I don't see them, unfortunately. I don't think, at least. Let me look, see if they have any windows like that. In wood, that is. I think they might have them in some other things, but maybe not quite the wood I was looking for. So unless we did it with custom, which I really... Custom windows are a little bit difficult to do, and not a huge fan of them. I guess, I mean, we could do something like this. Hold on, let's try it. Why not? We have, we have time. We have the luxury of time, and that's kind of the beauty of this game and streaming. One of the reasons I stream this game is that it gives me an excuse to actually number one, play this game, but also it gives me a reason to say, hey, I'm gonna dedicate 3 hours just to this game, and it does work out sometimes. Sometimes it's a little off, but that's actually not too bad. You know what? What would happen if we... Oh, man, it's going to rotate the wrong way. Alright, well... I want to try this, because I think it might be interesting, because it looks like kind of the top floors always have these kind of narrow windows here, but these kind of lower floors seem to always have, like, these real tall windows, and maybe a little bit smaller than that. Something like that. And then if we extend these down like there, might need to move my trim here. Let's see if maybe I can move it back just, maybe not. So X that. Because, I mean, I kind of like how this window looks. If I essentially would do this as well. Move this over to here. And it gives you that kind of... The windows kind of... If you look at a place called Beaches and Cream, which I actually went there last time I was down in Disney. This is kind of the windows kind of on their ground floor. That's what it looks like. And to me, it actually looks pretty good. I wish... These middle windows that were kind of messing me up, which I think this is the ones we have. Yeah, a little bit different ones there. What if we use... Alright, hold on. I'm going to scrap all of these. This is kind of what happens, though. You play this game. If you play this game enough, it's like you realize that it's like, oh man, this looks really good. And then you find another part like this, and you're like, oh, that looks horrible. And this looks a lot better. It's like, I might have to redo all the windows now. And, like, that's a bit of a shame. Now I do want to slide this over to there. I'm going to move this entire section over. I'd say this, but these do look a lot better like that. What would happen though if we pulled, or if we made these a little bit taller? Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Something like that, and then we brought these and made this one lower, like maybe two lower actually, like that. I mean, it's hard to say no to that because it does look a lot better, but I think I have an idea because I want to implement, because I've noticed that the frames around here are a little bit thicker than the actual wood itself, but I kind of have an idea how to do that. If we take one of these wood beams here, rotate it up, slide it down this way, move this over to here, and then rotate this down, make a top part out of it. I think it's auto-saving now. Or the computer's crashing. Nope, maybe not. Maybe not either one, never mind. Carry on. There we go. I think that looks a lot better than it did. And I think what I can do, though, even though I do like that molding around here, I think I can actually use these beams a lot more effectively. Because now, if we remove that, we can do something like this. If we slide this down to here, all right, and then duplicate this one more time. I know it's going to take a lot more parts and make a base out of it. So that's kind of our now the lower kind of window area, or windows, I should say. And then if I can take these wood beams here, rotate them on this wall. That's actually, let's use an 8. Or you know what? We can even do one better. We can actually just use these because we already have them on the building. Slide this one down to about there. And then what we can do, a little trick here. Do this and then hit the 4 beam. Slide that down to there. We'll need to put it on this side as well. There we go. But now, if I highlight all these, come on. Oh, it's saving. Now it's actually saving. It's like, ooh, I really don't hope this game doesn't crash again. That would just be so sad. All right. And one more. Oh, that's not the one I want. It's also not what I want. There we go. Cutting all this back. That piece. Alright. So now if we take this and then move this in as much as we can. Well, really, we can move it in as much as we want to. And I can kind of fake the rest of it. So let's actually move it in just one more. There we go. Alright, so now I did miss a piece down here, so I need to fix that. But now, if I come back in here with some glass, I'll show you kind of what I'm doing here in a moment. A 2x2, will that work? No, let me something a little bit bigger than that. Let's try a 4x4. 4x4 should work. Well, maybe not, because it really doesn't. Let's move these back out here. There we go. I think those windows will work. I think those look like what I'm kind of going for, and yeah, I don't see why we can't use them. So let's highlight all these, and let's get rid of what we don't want to take up, which is pretty much all that. Get rid of the beam here, and on this side. Duplicate it. Slide out of here to make sure we don't. Yeah, it looks like we didn't get any parts that we didn't want. Rotate this 90 degrees. Slide this back in here to kind of do the same thing we did on the other side. One more. That should work. Now, we really can't get two out of here, so let's try to center this as best as we can. Something like that. But I also want to do one more thing. I want to duplicate this, move it out here, and then I want to split it from the building, just so that when we build the other side and we want to add those onto there, we can easily just copy and paste them. I think that'll work out just fine. So there we go. We got some nice new lower windows and stuff like that, and I think those work out a little bit better. Look like they're a little more modern. I kind of like the look, but also I kind of want to move these trim pieces here down just a little bit, maybe to right there, just to kind of help with, you know, kind of keeping, as you know, a little bit of headroom in here, but not as much. Also, the other thing I want to do is come in here and we'll look at this door. Let's actually paint this all the cream color that we had going on with the rest of the building here. I think that kind of works out there, and I think leaving the other one kind of brown like we did kind of looks like we redid this building, but we didn't paint the outside door. We just kind of painted on the inside. give the building a little bit more character to it. So now that we've got that done, I think what we're going... what I need to do is actually... Let's come back in here. And essentially, I'm just going to copy what I did on the front side, on the back side here. Because I was trying to think of if there's anything else we wanted to do with this back side, and I really don't think so. Originally, I was going to have that overhang there to keep, make it kind of look like we can have somebody up there or something like that. But I think as I'm looking at this more and more, I think I just want to kind of keep it a little more simple. Nothing too crazy on the back side here. So let's do something like that. So we have a full, good support there. Now let's just go ahead and copy all these. These column sections that are turned on its side, if you were curious. And we'll slide these until just the wood's poking out. Like there. Actually, we can pull out a little bit more. Let's just match it up with the column here. So there is that. Kind of get that feeling of... I kind of like how this is... I like this a little bit. It's clean. This looks more clean. And I think we can actually do some stuff in here. Not huge stuff, but some smaller stuff. Maybe some flowers and stuff like that. Maybe some plants. It'll just kind of help set it apart just a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and take the fencing that we have here. As a matter of fact, let's just take one. Because I had some issues with this last time. That technically, for some reason, it was off axis for some reason. I don't know why, but it was. And so I wanted to kind of redo this a little bit. So we'll do that, and then rotate this down. So we're actually using the bottom side of the bottom of the fence. We're actually using it upside down. That was kind of the whole idea for the fence, and I quite like how it looks. So I wasn't too concerned about that. But let's go ahead and run this all the way across here. Like that. And like that. Just a few more. And there we go. So there is kind of that on a pathway, breezeway completed. I do need to put a door up there, so let's go ahead and do that before I forget. I'll probably have them enter this side over here. Actually, you know what? It'd probably make more sense if they entered over here, because this technically is, well... Alright, changing my mind once again. It's probably actually easier because I was about to say guest relations is on that side, so they can just walk through guest relations. But also, if you look back here, right behind here is a backstage area, which we can actually add like a little doorway here. It looks like there's a staircase up in here. They can go up here and actually do. If you remember, this is kind of where the greeter would come. They do a little show up front before the park actually opened. Kind of idea. So there is that. Actually, do we want to put our wood boards all the way across? Let's go ahead and do that. I know we have those up here, and they kind of look kind of out of place right now. But I think if we do it all the way across there, I think it'll look a lot better. Like that. Let's just go ahead and duplicate all these. Like that. I think that looks a lot better. Kind of gives you that boardwalk feel as well, which is kind of what we're going for here. So yeah, I think we need one more window here to kind of help with that as well. Also, the reason I wanted to build these is I can use this as a doorway now. And I kind of have an idea how I want to do that. To make it look like that'll be the entrance to our new guest relations department. Which, by the way, if you've ever been to guest relations, it's kind of iffy. But yeah, I think actually going to like having a full interior guest relations is kind of a neat idea. And as a full interior, they're not really that detailed. to be honest with you. But there is some details I want to add in there to make it look like if somebody had an issue, they actually could walk into our guest services rather than walk up to our guest services. You know, I think actually having a little, like, not secluded place, but like a place that you can walk into, I think it'd be a little bit more, I think it's a little more, like, it shows like we actually would care more. And it does. I really think that, you know, it's a little bit different if you're, like, if you walk up to like a ticket counter or a ticket window, it's a little bit different than if you walked up to somebody at a desk and like inside somewhere. I don't know. To me, it seems like, you know, like if somebody was upset or something like that and wants to kind of complain, it's a little bit easier that they're not out in the sun anymore. They're not, they're not trying to argue a case while they're in a 1,000,000-degree heat, and they're still just getting upset because of that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me thinking that. But the guest relations I know of, mostly the Disney ones and the Cedar Fair ones are usually inside like that. So there is that. So now we can turn our attention over here to the guest relations side of things. Let's go ahead and edit this building. And I just want to get rid of the wood, kind of these little pegs on the side here. And the roof on here. Which, you know, I don't think I actually put the top on the roof. I did not. Well, I gotta come back and fix that here momentarily. Well, let me get rid of this roof first. Also get rid of our guest relations area that we have already. Because I don't have any priority passes, and that's really the only good thing that these information places are for. So if we get rid of them, we can actually use this whole area to... shoot, what was I going to say? We can actually use that for the entire, I can't remember what I was going to say there. We can use that for the entire, guest relations area. I think that'll work out pretty well. Let me go ahead. I've got, I'm trying to bring my chat back up here. And hold on. It's having some issues trying to load, because it's trying to load the stream now. It's like I don't really want the stream. I want just my chat here. Come on. There we go. Yes, Centennial Edge. I did start this park completely from scratch. So this was just a plot of land that I think... I don't remember what... I don't remember exactly what biome or anything it was. It's been a while. But yeah, this was just a flat piece of land, and they're like, build on it. And then, so I actually did all the hills and everything as well. So, yeah, it's starting to turn out to be something that's quite a bit more than what I started with. Which is kind of neat. I like when a project like this can really, you know, kind of live and grow and see where it goes kind of thing. Alright, so, back over into the park here. So let's go ahead and delete these walls here, and we'll replace them with the wood. Or the painted wood, I should say. Let's go ahead and do painted wood. So now we can go in here. I want to only do maybe half this wall. So let's do something like maybe that. And then I want to need to paint that the correct color. There we go. Now I want to bring over one of these windows over here. Actually, I want to go ahead and duplicate it first. Oh, come on. I don't know why it went to multi-select there, but it did for some reason. Now let's go ahead and rotate this all the way around. Move it over to here. Slide it in there. And make sure this is lined up properly. So yeah, you move it forward just a tiny bit. Like there. So that looks pretty good. So this will be the entrance to our guest relations part of our park. There's our security guard that is just standing there the entire time, which, by the way, I don't think people realize, like, they're just security guards that just stand there a lot of times in parks. When I used to work at Kings Island, we had a security guard that would stand just at the front gate just to make sure nothing happened at the front gate. But you would never know he's there. Like, I actually knew quite a few of the security guards, and they would be standing right next to me, and I would never know it. And yeah, it's like, oh, all right, well, that was just all they did for like 4 or 5 hours, and then they would move somewhere else. And that was just, I think it was just to make sure that if something were to happen at the front gate, that they could be there right away. But at the same time, it was kind of a weird thing. It was like, you've already passed the security and everything, so there's all those, the metal detectors and everything out there, plus all the security out there. There was actually quite a few security outside the park already. And then they have one or two guys just standing inside the gate. Maybe that's just me thinking that was interesting, but so there is that one. We'll use that as a door. Nope, that's actually not what I wanted to do. No, I don't want to duplicate it. I actually want to use these pieces here. And then I think I went 90 degrees, and then I went maybe 3 more. I don't know if I'm doing that math right off the top of my head, but I think that's what it is. It depends. So here's the thing. So even on the slow days, when I used to work at Kings Island, we always had stuff to do. We would, we could do inventory, which we didn't do that too often. We would do that 2 or 3 times a year. But we would clean. We did a lot. Security guards would actually walk in the stores and start talking to us. Because, I mean, technically, they would want to make sure that nobody was stealing in our stores. And especially if you worked either in food service or merchandise, especially in food service, they would actually come up and ask for water and things like that. So they get to chatting to you, and you would get to know them pretty well. Security, the security guards would actually come into our stores and like, hey, how's it doing? A lot of times they just want to get out of the heat, which, it's fine. We didn't care for 2 reasons. Number one, it was a lot harder to shoplift with a security guard in there, so that was always a nice thing. Also, though, it's you get to know your security guard. So if you do have an issue and they're working, you just give them a call, and they will come running as fast as they can. I knew that happened to me a couple times. You get to know security guards, and like I had somebody, we as a manager, you would actually want to look out for shoplifting rather easy. And we caught a few people, but you knew if you knew who to call, like you could get security there a little bit faster, and actually catch people in the act. And I've done that once or twice in merchandise. Never did it in food service because that was a little bit harder to steal food, but it could happen. Never had it happen to me, I should say, or when I was working there. But yeah, you get stories like that. But it's always nice to be nice to the security guards because usually when you call them, there's something wrong, and you want them there as fast as you can. Now, thankfully, we also did have, which I think was hilarious. So, if you ever go to a Cedar Fair park, at least ones in Ohio, I should say, our security guards actually wear there's a couple of different security guards that are actually there at the park at any time. So you have the white. When I was there, it was white shirts over tan pants. Those were just your basic security guards. They really couldn't do much to you. They were more there for lost children and make sure everything else is there. And they really didn't have to do too much. And then you had the black over tan pants. And those guys were actually off-duty police officers that worked for Kings Island that would come there and a lot of times they would go out to the local counties or local city and say, hey, we need some police officers, and they would give them uniforms, or sometimes they were actually full-time Kings Island police, because we actually did have a small police department there. I don't know how many officers were there. I actually knew the sergeant, because his daughter was actually in one of my ASL classes, and I actually was tutoring her in ASL, so I knew her pretty well, and I knew him, because also I was a manager in merchandise, and we had to call him, not often, but we had to call him enough that we knew him, and those are the guys. I mean, usually they're pretty good. They actually are full police officers. They can arrest you and everything. But then you also have what we call there was the black over black pants, which were actually full. Like usually those are the county sheriffs that were there. Those are the guys usually running around with the K9 stuff like that. Those are the guys you really don't want to mess with. The last two you really don't want to mess with at all because they actually can arrest you, and you would be surprised how fast they can do it. I mean, we've had things from people throwing small fireworks off in the, or setting off small fireworks in the park, to drugs, intoxication, things like that. So yeah, it's a little fun with some people like that. But it wasn't. I think it was a pretty. Kings Island was pretty relaxed most of the time, so that we didn't have to worry about it too much. I remember they also had canines that would come there, but Kings Island, I think either Kings Island made a huge donation to actually get these canines to the local sheriff's office, so it wasn't just a Kings Island specific canine. But I remember I want to say it was the two that would come over is Banshee, which is, you can kind of tell Kings Island helped with that one because that's the name of one of their coasters, and Bogey. I think that was the two that was always around there, and they would always sit around the front gate because that was the entrance of the park, and I used to, I was up there quite a bit when I was in merchandise. But yeah, I think it was hilarious that you just see these. It's like I'd be walking through the backstage, and then you just see these two canine units sitting there. It's like, all right, well, this is fun. But security. I was asked if I ever wanted to join security. You had to be 18 to join it, and when I started there, I was 16. So I couldn't join it right away. But I was the third. I'm a big guy, and you really can't really tell too much on the screen. I'm 6'7". All right, so I'm a big guy, and I was the third tallest guy there. There was two people taller than I was. One worked as a what do they call them now? Park services. They actually ones that clean out trash and stuff like that. And the other guy was in admissions, and then I was in food service and in merchandise. So I think it's hilarious that none of the three big guys were actually in security. There was a couple big guys I knew. A lot of them played football or something like that. That also were in security. So I had no problem with our security force. They were all nice guys. I never met one that was like on a power trip or anything, which I know some people have heard, could happen. So, all right. So we got kind of the basic building of our guest relations done. I do realize something though. This is going to be a bit of an issue because if you noticed last time, we actually had this kind of like this 1 meter wall coming up through here, and I guess we can make it work. Never mind. I thought it was going to be a little bit of an issue, but I think this will work out at least. So let's go ahead and do the interior. I do want to get some wood. I'm going to do some wood floors like we did up here with the breezeway. I kind of use the same panels and everything. So, not too concerned about that. I think this will make a good flooring. If I can find it. Okay, I know what that is. I was trying to think what that was. I've never seen that, but no, I collected what it was. What is this actually called up here? This is called Haunted House. Haunted House Wooden. I think I misspelled haunted. I forgot an N. There it is. So we can put this into here. Go ahead and duplicate this. Slide this over to about there. And we duplicate this across. Now, it's funny because even as managers, we still had to work do special things that, we had to work carts. And every once in a while, I felt like we didn't have enough associates. If there was two managers there, one of us would actually be on register in a store, managing the store essentially. But we'd also be doing sales and restocking, stuff like that as well. There was one time, you want to talk about kind of a boring job. It could get a little boring if nobody was there. It was too cold. There was something we called the boo cart, and so during Halloween Haunt, we used to have these necklaces, and I can't remember for the life of me what they're called. I think called no boos, so we're called the boo cart. Essentially, they were just little light up pumpkin necklaces that would tell the actors that were playing these scares not to scare you. Which, by the way, if you ever came to a park and not to get scared, so you pay, they were like $20. And it's like you're coming to a Halloween event not to get scared. I guess there were some people who just wanted to ride rides or whatever, and I get that. But even to me, I knew a lot of the actors, so they didn't really bug me. But I would help them bug other people, like the scare other people. I should say bug, it's scare other people. So I don't know. To me, it's like whatever. But one of our jobs as managers, only a manager can really run that cart, because we didn't have registers or anything. We had to do it all by hand. It was like you had a apron that had money in it, and I don't remember how much money they gave us. It was a decent amount, and we would make. You can make a good amount of money doing that cart. That's why they only wanted managers to work it, because they were afraid that, number one, it's a lot of money to use, and number two, it also had to do with how we did cash handling. It was a little bit harder to use an associate for it, so we always did it ourselves. But the same thing, we actually had to go. We were out there pretty much sitting next to the security guard selling these things, and if there was a lot of people in there, you were very busy. But if there was nobody in the park, you were just standing there freezing your butt off at this little plastic cart. I mean, it was like a rolling cart full of these light up necklaces, and that was your whole night. I was like, well, this is not as what I signed up for. But I know you had to work. Usually in a haunt, you had to work that at least twice, and it was not only you. There was pretty much every manager in that park had to work it at least twice. And you would take turns. I mean, it would be like you were out there maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then they would swap you out with somebody else. So yeah, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world, but it was still something we had to do. Another thing we also had to do, and I did this twice. I never did it in merchandise. I always did it in food service, but there was a thing called spirit songs. So they would bring in a bunch of Christian bands, and they would actually come there and play a concert. And I actually worked there twice, both in food service as a manager. First time, I was kind of flipping burgers, running registers, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, and that's what we do. Essentially, the whole thing was run by managers who were not working in the park that day. And the second time, I was actually I was in the personnel office. I volunteered to go up there and kind of make sure. I'd be kind of a runner, so I wasn't doing too much that day. It was also the same day that I got to see Skillet live without paying for it, which is kind of cool. Because what I did was I just kind of hung around afterwards, and I was helping people. I was still helping people, but I was actually standing on top of there's kind of an amphitheater. I was standing on top and watched the whole Skillet concert before I left. It's kind of a neat experience. That's been years now. But that was a fun little event, because it was odd, because if you ever work in an amusement park like that, you kind of know there's certain procedures you have to do to handle cash and stuff like that. Pretty much we threw those out the window during those events, just because it was all supervisors. So some of those rules really didn't apply to supervisors. They were really only for our associates. And so we could actually do things like we would just swap registers out. Like if somebody who's on register went to go like flip burgers real quick, you could jump on that register and start checking people out. Couldn't do that with normal associates. But we all trusted each other. There was never like a time where it's like, oh, we don't trust him or we don't trust her. It was pretty much, you could trust each other with your money, because if not, you were all kind of in trouble for it. It was like one person got in trouble, we all got in trouble. But I don't think we really ever had an issue with it, so I think it works out pretty well. So let's lower this down. How tall do we need to make this counter? All right, let's slide the counter out this way. Where do we want to put this? We need to lower it a little bit. I usually try to put about elbow height. That's elbow, hip height, somewhere around in there. And we'll slide this over to here. There we go, and we'll make a full counter here so that you can't technically go out this, like if you were working behind the counter, you couldn't actually go out. Kind of the idea, which is not like it's a big loss. Very rarely would you ever want to, like especially if a guest gets upset. you really wouldn't want to go out here and be like within, kind of within their space, kind of like that. And I understand why they do it, because I mean, there's some guests that can get very upset, and I number one, I don't understand it. There's some I can understand that you would be upset about, but there are some people that would explode on some of these people. And working at the front gate, you actually hear quite a few of them. And you know, yeah, I've told stories on here that I've had a couple guests explode on me, even though, you know, it really wasn't our fault. You just gotta stand there and bear it sometimes, which, you know, I guess so. It's just somebody wanting to vent, you know, that they were having a bad day or whatever. But there's some that were just, there was no reason for it, kind of thing. But here is going to be kind of our counter for our guest relations department. Let's go ahead and grab a few computers to put in here. This is something I know how to do. Let's also put a card reader in here as well, just in case they want to purchase something like, if they're upgrading their tickets to season passes or something like that. They can easily do that here now. I don't think there's a back to these. There is not. Okay, so we can just do this then. Come on, there we go. Leave it at a bit of an angle, just to make it a little more interesting. Alright, where is that computer at? There it is. Like the perfect size for that too. This is awesome. Let's also get our card reader. We won't put too many in here, maybe 4 or so. Maybe something like that. And no, once again, not all these would be open either, so it's, you know, give them plenty of room to kind of space out here. We probably could put a 5th in here, but I'm not really that concerned with it. I mean, would it be kind of necessary? Maybe it's sometimes, but I think 4 will work. Give people to kind of spread out a little bit so that they're not on top of each other trying to complain at the same time. Also want to redo this. Rotate these around to here. And like that. So you can kind of get the idea that there's supposed to be a window there. And we'll slide them, put these over here. Like that. So now we got our windows, and they're not quite center. I might need to redo where that window actually is. I'll actually do that right now if I wanted to. That looks a lot better. You know, just little details like that we need to kind of think of sometimes. Let's get back into ending this building. I'm going to do the trim around the base like you normally would. You know, maybe putting in a few chairs in here would not be the worst idea in the world either. Just in case, like, because I mean, I think, you know, if you're working in here, and like, let's say you tell them you're working on something for them, and you know, like, hey, you know, why don't you take a seat? It might be a couple minutes. May not be the worst idea in the world. Maybe not. I'm trying to think of like, that was a little bit of a weak idea. But let's go back over here. Let's do the wood. We'll do the wood trim on the bottom and things like that. I do want to kind of get some... The reason I wanted to leave kind of that wall blank over here, and I think I might have to move this window again. I don't know. But the reason I thought of that is we don't have any maps here. I actually did have a map center for What Do I Parks previously, which I think would work out really well. So the custom items I have in here, if you have it on Steam, I don't know if they've implemented these yet for console or Mac yet. But if you go into your PC, go into the Steam Workshop, it's something called Theme Maker's Toolkit, and that will allow you to download stuff like this, and then they'll pop in the toolkit items here, and that will allow you to use them in your park. It's actually been a really useful thing for a lot of people. Because you can do things like the signs and stuff like that you couldn't do before. It's really kind of changed how a lot of people do stuff. Like you can do, they were doing anything from like, I'm trying to think, like the computers, signs. People are doing custom signs for their amusement parks or rides, as well as what else? I'm trying to think what small things like ketchup bottles and Tabasco, napkin, things like that. So it's really kind of changed kind of these smaller details that was kind of hard to do before this. All right, where are these wood beams at? This is going to drive me a little crazy. Do I have DLC items? That might have been why I couldn't find them. Maybe. Alright, this is a little odd. Or if they're called wooden beams, that could be why. Yep, they are. What a butthead. Alright. Yeah, it's like, so it's not just the Theme Maker's Toolkit items. You can actually make blueprints in this game. And people do make quite a few blueprints in the game. And then they put them on there, and then you can use them in your park. A lot of coasters and buildings like that. But Theme Maker's Toolkit, I think, is kind of it's not the biggest thing on there, but I think is the most valuable thing on the workshop right now. Just because you can do all these custom stuff. And there's hundreds of items, or there's thousands of items on there now. But yeah, that was not always around here. That was something they recently did, maybe... you know what, I say recently. It's probably been probably close to a year now since they've put that out. And people have really gotten a handle on how to do all that. And I think that's really helped a lot of people doing some of the more detailed stuff like this. Maybe that's just me thinking that, but I really do think that Theme Maker's Toolkit has kind of been a big game changer of how we do stuff on Planet Coaster. Even after 4 years, they released that. That was kind of like their last big update to this game, was doing Theme Maker's Toolkit, and that I think really allowed people to kind of create what they wanted to. Unfortunately, we can't create our own rides, which I thought maybe they would let us, because from what they announced, and from what I remember, they weren't going to release any more DLC for this game, and that was right before they released Planet Zoo, because they were pretty much focusing on Planet Zoo. Now that they've released it released this on consoles and on Mac, they might go back and explore a couple DLCs now. I don't know that for a fact, but it might be interesting to see what they do with that. Just gonna add the trim there, because it's poking out from the inside. I didn't even think about that before, but yeah, I guess that would do that. Let's use the 4 meter just to get a little bit more distance out of it. There we go. As you can see here, we do have a nice little guest relations building in here now. I'm going to put a little bit of texture on the wall, on the very back at least. Just to set off the building. It looks like it's not just wood back here. Like, what is this? It's a little too much there. Yeah, no, that's more of a Halloween item. Let's see here. You see all that, like shirts. You would never think of shirts in a game like this, because it's not really that kind of game. To be honest with you, we haven't really heard much at all about Planet Coaster 2. It's more of a rumor that they're working on it, just because if you realize how big or how popular this game is, and how popular, maybe not as popular as Planet Zoo. Like, I don't think Planet Zoo was as big of a game as Planet Coaster was, but it's still a popular game. I'm not saying it's flopped in any way. It's still a fun game. But it would not surprise me how many people still played this game after 4 years that they would be creating another one. But really haven't heard anything. It's more rumors than anything else. which is kind of unfortunate because I would figure that they would at least be putting a teaser out there or something like that. And what's going on in the world, that might be why they're having, they may not be at, full capacity to actually do something like this. I actually might do this nice stone wall in the back here. They may not be, they may not have the capacity at the time to actually really kind of go full force on a game like that. Because you got to remember, if you're going to build a game from the ground up like that, it's going to take a while. Even 4 years is, could be pushing it for a game like that. And you got to remember, they probably didn't think that. Well, it's probably even longer than that. Because I'm trying to think. Because from what I understand, and this is kind of the history, a little bit of Planet Coaster that I know of. So Planet Coaster was actually not supposed to be Planet Coaster. Apparently, because Frontier, if you remember, actually developed Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. And after that, they were starting to work on Roller Coaster Tycoon 4. And Atari's like, yep, we're going to be done. We're going to go with somebody else for the next game. Even though Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 was the first 3D Roller Coaster Tycoon game. It worked really well. I still enjoy the game. I remember I got that for Christmas one year. And I got the Platinum Edition. So I got the base game and also got the Wild, which you can build zoos with that, which I thought was amazing. And they also did a water park. It's the only game that I know of you can actually build a water park and an amusement park in the same place. Great game. And Atari's like, yep, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And so they were already developing Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, and they're like, hey, we've got all these assets. What do you want us to do? It's like, yeah, we don't really care. I guess Frontier owned all those assets. It's like, cool, we're going to create our own game. And then, if I'm not mistaken, after that, Atari came out with Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which, if you know anything about Roller Coaster Tycoon, the franchise, Roller Coaster Tycoon World is literally a black mark on that series. It is, I guess, apparently, I've never played it. I've heard it is that terrible of a game. And then it's like, cool, Atari's like, or not Atari, Frontier's like, we're just going to develop our own game. And this is what it actually became. So apparently these assets were like kind of the base assets for Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, from what I hear. So it would not surprise me. So now that this game is hugely popular, it's really kind of taken over Roller Coaster Tycoon in terms of popularity and stuff like that. It would not surprise me if they're working on the game, but you gotta remember, they were working on this game even before they knew it was Planet Coaster. So it's going to probably be a little while before we really hear anything else about Planet Coaster 2. Let's say Planet Coaster 4. So good, they're trying to skip right to 4. That's not how that works. But yeah, so no, I haven't heard anything yet. I highly doubt we'll hear anything before probably next year. I mean, they really just got done. They're still working on Planet Zoo and their DLCs for that. So I highly doubt we'll see much of anything here soon about it, unless they do something kind of as a teaser in Roller Coaster, or in Roller Coaster Tycoon, in Planet Coaster 1 for Planet Coaster 2. So maybe that's just me thinking that. I don't know that for sure. But what I do know for sure is this looks okay. I don't know what else to put in here, so I'm gonna, you know what, a phone would probably not be a bad idea. Let's see if I have the phone. I know I saw a couple people with phones. I do have it right here. Go on. There we go. Something like this would be kind of common in an office like this. So let's throw these up here. And I just, for right now, I might just leave it like this. I kind of want to get the structure done more than the interior. And we can always come back when we get some more ideas to kind of redo this. But for right now, it's okay. Oh, I'll mark it as okay. It's not great, but it is okay. But we do want to get the rest of this building done, because I like how this, like the shape of the building, but I think we do need to get just get the rest of it done. Because I mean, the locker area, the lockers remind me so much of where I used to work at Kings Island. Because one of my the first time I really was managing in Merchandise was actually part of the area I was over was actually the locker rentals, the main locker rentals at the front of the park. So that was kind of my whole thing. As well as I did it was the same year that I did the strollers and ECV rentals and things like that. So if you guys have heard those stories, same place. Place called we was called it the front gate, and so the front gate was split into 3 stores. It was what we call at the time was called Convenience Corner, and that was kind of like the spot where if you forgot your camera or you forgot batteries or something like that, or your phone was dying and needed a charger, things like that. We also had shirts and other merchandise up there. But that was pretty much what Convenience Corner was. And then we also had the other corner, or the other store we had was called Kids Corner, and that was a very specific shop for younger kids. Anything from like birth to like 2 years old, 3 years old was kind of that store. Anything that might be a little bit odd for to kind of have a store just for them. But you also got to realize that if they had like, if something happened in the park and they needed a new shirt or something like that, they actually could come to us and we can give them a new shirt, or let them buy a new shirt or what have you, and something like that. So it was not the worst idea in the world to have a shop like that. And then we had the ECV and stroller rentals, which also we actually included the locker rentals out there as well. Same place and everything. It was run by one person, sometimes 2. Kind of a busy morning, we'd have 2 people out there. And yeah, it seemed like it worked out pretty well. I think actually we can use that and kind of use the same effect as using less pieces. Yeah, so essentially, the only thing that you'd have to do is if for some reason there was an issue with a locker, somebody would have to come out there, or the attendant would have to come out there and help you with the locker. So really, you didn't have to do too much with the lockers. That's why I don't put too much out here detail-wise. We could have a person, like a merchandise person, standing in here helping people, but honestly, probably wouldn't need too much there. But something very important still to the for your park is to actually have lockers in it, like at the front gate. Oh crap! That's not what I wanted to do yet. At least I want to take here and edit the building, because there's only one part. So I had to build this building in a couple different buildings. Kind of a weird thing to think about there, because of the fact that I wanted to do all these angled pieces and a little bit off pieces. So to do that, I had to. I don't know if I like them that low. I might have to change that here in a second. But to do that, I had to make these a little bit, or I had to make a couple different buildings just to get that the angle here and things like that. What if just something like that maybe? I think that looks a little bit better. It looks a little more inviting. I don't know. To me, you have to do the scale that Planko is in is quite a bit larger than it should be. But I mean, you still have to give some room for people can go into places and it looks like they can walk in. They also make them feel safe. If you get into this like a little cavern area, it doesn't look like you could. It doesn't look inviting or anything like that. What concerns me though is I don't like how this is looking here. Alright, let's redo this. Let's try with a 1 meter wall and see how this looks. Alright, that looks a little bit better. I can live with a 1 meter wall there. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. I'll have to edit this one down just a little bit. Slide this down just a little bit. There we go. We can edit this building. We'll put the trim on there. While we have this building highlighted, we can just throw the wooden beam on there. Like so. Okay. And go. Let's rotate it to where we want it. And rotate it in like so. go. We can start bringing these pieces along this wall here. And these pieces along here. I'm going to have to use some sort of top for this building. As to what, I'm not sure yet. But it looks kind of odd just having that kind of plain wood look to it. So we'll have to figure out something for that. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Game's still saving. It's autosave, great thing. Also a terrible thing when you're trying to do stuff like this. Alright, so now we just go ahead and put the wood walls up here. Their correct color, and we have the, or we can actually move to where we need it. There we go. One there. You know what? I just spotted a wall that we might be able to use instead of the top we had there. We can always give it a try and see how it looks. And it is this wall here. So let's see how this looks. It is a, hold on, there's actually, this actually is the same wood type, so there's that. So let's see how this looks. If we paint this the cream color, it's got kind of dirty cream though. It's, you know what, we might be able to use that. Let's see what it looks like if we put it all the way around the building. I think we can kind of get away with that. It's not a huge thing. It kind of looks like that maybe we haven't done a great paint job on it, you know. Low budget park still. I mean, I'd say low budget. We're probably about a mid budget park. Because I've always said this is kind of in between Cedar Fair and Disney. Because Disney has all the budget they want to have, essentially. And Cedar Fair, while they do have a good budget, they do have to kind of think about how they want to distribute it throughout their parks and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's, you know, one of those things. I'll place that there. It's also on the backs of the building, so it doesn't really matter as much on this side. But I think that looks pretty well. I think that kind of fits in with what we're trying to do. So let's get rid of that one and then place one of these up there. Did I? Oh, I say, what did I do? I accidentally deleted that building technically. And so let's get rid of that piece, and then we can come back in here with one of these. Let's go ahead and turn all this down. Looks like I can do that. That should be my white, and that should be my blue. So there is that. We'll continue on over here as well. Let's get rid of these last three pieces. And we'll throw these in their place. Though I do realize that this might not be the easiest thing to kind of line up here. So let's do that, and then what we'll do, we'll actually split these from the building. Like we do with, you know, anything odd like this, we'll split it from the building. Slide this over. If we don't want to slide it forward though, so I slide it forward, it's going to really mess up with how the wood walls look. Let me show you what I mean here. So I need to get these 1 meter tall walls. Let's get them into the right color here. Alright, I think. Now let's see, because if I pull these out anymore, It's not going to line up with the rest of the wall, and that kind of is not going to be great. If we do something like that, it kind of looks like a little bit of a cross there, but I don't mind that. Looks kind of neat, I guess. How far does this go over? Can I take this piece over here? Try a few things out. We'll see how this looks. I'll take this piece here, split it from the building, and move it there. That one actually lines up a lot better. So I'm not too concerned. But so that doesn't look too bad. I think this is starting to look like we actually want it to. It actually looks more like it belongs here. It doesn't really stick out. You know, it's not like a sore thumb. It doesn't really stick out that far. So, copy this. Slide that to there. So let's start getting rid of these lanterns here. Because I do want to put my own lanterns up. There we go. I think structurally, I think we're good here. I actually do want to add in one of these guys. Go ahead and duplicate that. Slide that over here. And slide that. He's going a little bit more here. Come on. There we go. Just add that. We kind of center this one up a little bit more with the roof. That looks pretty good there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Is it not perfect? I might redo these windows here to make them more like these. And I think that would look a little bit better. But I think that structurally is kind of what our new entrance is going to look like. And I quite like how it looks. I'm going to delete this one here. Because we can always just use that one. So there we go. So guys, it is about 2:30. I want to run and use the restroom really quick. So give me just a couple minutes here. I want to throw up the Be Right Back screen. Give me a couple minutes here. I will be back here. We'll a couple things I want to do. I want to see maybe replacing the windows. We might do that today. I want to place some lights around here, add a few details in here and there just to make it look a little bit nicer, kind of make it look like it belongs in here. It's kind of what I'm going to do, kind of make it look a little bit nicer, kind of do a little more of the smaller details like that. So give me about 10 minutes, guys. I'll be right back, and yeah, we'll continue on with the entrance then. I am back. Let me get that going again. We're going to pop back into the game here. There we go. So what other details could we add to this to actually kind of make it a little more interesting? That is a good question that I do not have an answer for. So let's get our good friend Google over here and kind of look and just kind of see what they do for the boardwalk and stuff like that. I mean, fair enough, color is going to be a big thing. I kind of want to go kind of in depth a little bit. Kind of look at see what they do to the exterior to kind of like make it look a little more interesting. Let's see here. Color's a big thing. Trash cans, benches, stuff like that we could actually probably do very easily. So let's look around here. I don't remember what kind of benches or anything we were using. Or if we were using... Oh, here we are. We were using these kind of stone ones. We can get those to work. Let's go ahead and duplicate those. Put those on like either... Ooh, hold on. Is the path really not... Oh, well, that's an issue. I didn't know the path didn't go up here. Yikes. Alright, we'll have to kind of work around that. Let's see here. Where does the path go along here, though? Okay, we can put them right outside here. I think that will work out for that side. Putting it over here, maybe in front of the window. Perfect. Like that. Then we get some seating for people. I kind of want to keep this area clean. But some trash cans would not be the worst idea in the world. We also need to do our our lamps that we're taking from the outside. We'll bring those in. Let's see here. Path extras, trash cans. What kind of trash cans were we using around here? Or were we using any trash cans? Looks like we were actually using these. Once again, the path is not lining up there, so But one on the ends here, I think that'll work out. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then we need to put some up here, maybe right there. Put one up here. And put one on this side as well. There we go. So, you know, just kind of dot some stuff around here like that. I think that'll work out pretty well. Where is the edge of the path here? Do we want to put some benches over here? Some benches might not be the worst idea to put some, just one or two over here. Just to, you know, kind of not break up the, crap. Not to really break it up, but to make it look like, you know, if you were waiting on somebody out here, which really, I think out of the path, how we did the path, probably not the best way to do that. Alright, let's go ahead and zoom on out here. Grab our light poles from out here. Let's go ahead and duplicate those. Bring those inside of here. And these are also the kind of lamps I want to use around this area, along the building, stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's like we'll have to get those out. I think these are Theme Maker's Toolkit items. So yeah, something we'll have to dig through and look for those as well. So there's those, or there's that one. Another one over here. So we can't, unfortunately, since they're separate buildings, can't quite duplicate them the same way, or can't duplicate it at the same time. So let's kind of eyeball how this is going to go, which, if you know anything about my eyeballing, it is iffy at best. Something like that I think should work. Now let's go ahead and put the lights on the buildings as well. I think they're called lanterns is where I was looking for them. There's one of them, which that one's going to be usable. I just don't think it's going to be it's not the one we were using. We did look at using that one, but this is the one we were actually using. Of course it's upside down. Why wouldn't it be upside down? Let's take a look here, make sure this is... I think I got the colors backwards. I did. Whoops. Alright, let's try that. And that... yeah, looks a lot better. Alright, let's go ahead and start throwing them on buildings here. Even though they are backwards right now. Get the angle snap back on. That looks good there. And there. Move these straight across here. To here. And to here. Also want to place one on in the middle of these arches here. Essentially, I want these lamps to, you know, they're not massive lamps, but they are kind of what you would see either on a ship or something like that, or on like a pier. I think that's kind of what I was kind of going for. And since it's supposed to be like a boardwalk, so kind of either on the ocean or on this case a lake, kind of what I was going for that. So I think this works out pretty well. Go. It's a little askew. We can fix that. There we go. Slide this across the plaza here. And put some lights over the bathroom here. There we go. think that's starting to look pretty good. Probably won't look great at nighttime right now, because if you look here, lights in Planet Coaster are notorious for not being as bright as they should be. But we can actually fix some of this, so it wouldn't be too hard to do. Let's go ahead and do that real quick while we are thinking about it and have a moment. Go to props, go to lights. I use the floodlights, I think. No, it's the aerial lights is what I use. And I color them to whatever color I want them to be. And I can do something like this. If you sink them into the ground, they do have a little bit of a radius to them. I kind of want to do something like, maybe something like that. So where it does look like there is light coming out of there, but it's not as bright as it was. So let's do something like that. And like that. Now I want to do the same things around the buildings here. So, boosh, boop. Just keep on going around like this. You can see it does really kind of light up the building rather well, I think. At least at night. We don't really play much at night. We do a lot of stuff mostly during the day. But I think even with our fireworks spectacular, which is coming, we got to get to 50 followers first. But I think it'll look really nice once we get there. It also looks green now, which is kind of, I guess, you know, that would make sense. But I'm mixing, what is it, blue and yellow make green? I don't know really much. Art itself is not ideal, but I think it's that's it. I could be wrong. But, yeah. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and turn it back to daytime. To actually get, it's like, I was kind of like debating on whether I wanted to redo this, the windows, and yeah, I kind of do. The more I look at them, the more I'm like, these look a lot better. These actually look like they're newer and things like that. So, and I think they would fit in a lot better with what we're doing. So let's go ahead and redo all the windows. Fun. Get rid of the lighting idea there. I think these were the ones we were using. So let's get rid of those. And I might actually use these upside down like this at first. I'll show you what I'm thinking here in a second. Something like that. Rotate these right side up. Slide that into there. We'll have to adjust just slightly. Like that. I think that gives us a little bit bigger window there. But I think it looks, you know, it looks more in place. Especially this is going to be a big wall. And, you know, if we, adding a little bit bigger window, I think kind of, you know, takes up a little more room. I think it looks a little bit nicer. I think it does look a little bit better. But also, I realized we don't have the trim stripe all the way down. Bring that over here. So, I'm kind of debating how I want to do this. Do I want to move this down? No, let's actually move this up just ever so slightly to there. And now that the stripe's there, I didn't want to have them sitting right on that stripe. So let's go ahead and get rid of all this. And let's add in the new windows. Something like that. I think that actually does look a little bit better. Although I'm kind of curious, what would happen if we put a frame like we did the other ones around those? Let's see what they would look like. Computer, please. And let's slide this in there. Just gonna... I'm wondering if maybe a full frame is not the best idea, but what if we did something like this on either side? I don't know why that looks a little bit better, but it does. Maybe it kind of makes it seem like, excuse me, it makes it seem like one big window rather than individual ones, like two individual ones. I don't know. Let's do this. Hold on. If I look there, I really think that these windows look better than this one. I have no idea why. But that's kind of the stuff that's kind of what experimenting does in this game. You can kind of see what does and doesn't work, and sometimes you're trying one thing and realize something else works a lot better. Oh, come on. There we go. Slide those across to there. I guess it gives that same feeling of kind of what is on the bottom, but a little bit different, of course. Now we're going to work on the front side. All right, so first of all, let's get rid of all the windows. And we'll go ahead and let's see if we can actually just duplicate and move every piece here. I don't know if we'll be able to or not, but we'll give it a try. So each window is 8, so we should have 16 pieces when we're ready to copy. And we'll rotate this 180. Oh, game's decided to save in the middle of the rotation. Come on, game. There we go. Go, and then we'll need to slide this over to there. Which I really think also I might really do the trim out here too. I hate to kind of get back over work I've already done, but I think I think we found a way that it looks a little bit better, and we might just need to do that for the whole thing. There is that done. Great, so one more. Slide this across to there. Really starting, I think those windows look a little bit better. I do think that we do need to at least redo this, kind of the mid striping with the other stripe. I don't know, I think it looks a little bit better, a little more cleaner. Let's see here, so let's just slide this one over to here. We also need to do it on the other side as well. Like that. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think it's more fitting for the rest of the boardwalk this way, and I think that's essentially kind of the idea. I guess what would happen is, if you want to talk about story, I know some people like listen to the stories, is that when the original owners sold it, they kind of put up a temporary entrance that they just get the park back up and going, and probably in the mid '90s, like we're building the '90s section now, they decided, you know what, it might be best to kind of redo the entrance area a little bit. So they added a better ticket area. They actually they kind of rebuilt this area a little bit better. But they also wanted to pay homage to the original boardwalk, so that's where they have this boardwalk-inspired entrance here. And I hate to say this, I think the custom roof actually looks a lot better than the plain roofs that we did there. That's the way it should be, but I don't think I can move this onto there without modifying a lot of it, and maybe one day I will, but not right now. I think for right now, I kind of like how this is looking. We got about an hour left of the stream, so we got to figure out what else we want to do to this front entrance area here. Number one, we do need to fill this planter as well. I actually built this planter a little while ago and just never filled it because we were never up here. But now that we've been working up here, we might need to finish that off. We might need to do some curbing around here for our boat dock over here. And things like that. So yeah, I think we need to kind of work on this front plaza a little bit more. I think for right now, until I get some more ideas, I think we're going to leave this kind of as is. I won't call it done yet, but I'm kind of running out of ideas for it right this second. So I think for right now, we'll leave it as is. We'll kind of work on this front plaza because we have some stuff we want to do around here to kind of clean it up and kind of help match the rest of the building here. So let's get working on that. We also need to kind of re-add the foliage around here because it needs it. All right, so let's do the curbing first. This is not going to be the easiest curbing to do in the world because the curbing I used here is actually the modular planter bricks, which only come in 4-meter sections. Why I did that, I have no idea, but that's what I did. And so what I think I want to do is actually bring this straight across to there. Because I really like how these bricks look, especially with the sandstone pavement. But I think with all this, I might need to round off or square off a few corners like that. We can kind of fix them here in a moment with the pathing, stuff like that. So we can get that under control here. But you know what? I could just do the curbing that I used on this inside too, which is just the castle window like that we used. I think that might be a little bit better. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's also fix the path while we're here. Just kind of make it look a little more uniform. There we go. I think that's going to help us a little bit more. Now I can actually edit this one back a little bit. Slide it back here a little bit more. There we go. And then can't really rotate it all, but I can slide this over to about there. I can take the other curbing from there. So we'll just edit this one because why not? It would make more sense to have all the curbing in one group, but that's just me at least. We'll have to probably rotate this around just so that the window part doesn't stick up. You can get the nice smooth curb there. Moving. So essentially this part, I don't know if I'm going to do anything with the grass here. I might just leave it as grass because, I mean, we do have a lot of like concrete and stuff like that around here. So some green might help break that up a little bit more and make it a little more pleasant to be in. And you also, you got to remember, these are kind of smaller areas of grass. I don't think we'll do much with them. We're going to put some plants or some trees or something like that. Can't be very big though, because we do want to leave this open a little bit because this would be probably a good spot to actually watch fireworks from the lake. And that's kind of the whole idea of leaving it open like that. So here's an issue I run into somewhat often, especially when I'm doing curbing along a path like this, is that the ground is uneven, and because of that, I have to kind of angle the curb a little bit differently and things like that. So it does take a little bit more work to do stuff like this. Usually, though, I can kind of get around most of it. It's not too awful bad, but some of it gets a little rough. Like if you saw on the bus episode where we were actually working on the bus station, some of those can get kind of bad out there, and so got to be a little bit more careful with how we do those. I think we kind of want to level this out as much as I can now. Well, maybe not. Do. I think if we rotate this to there, we might just rotate it up just ever so slightly. And that looks a little bit nicer to get that curb in there. And we can take a little bit, well, so I was going to put a little curb here, but really we need to put a little concrete pad there, just so that our employees can get in and out of this place a little bit easier. So curb. Be a little bit harder than I thought it would be. All right. Once again, the terrain is going to be our worst enemy here. Something like that. That one doesn't look too bad. So now we got this area kind of cordoned off, kind of a little more permanent, it looks like. I think we need to do a little more plant work. We haven't done some plant work in quite a few streams. Because we've been working on buildings. So let's do a little bit of just some basic ground cover, like some basic plants in here. Maybe some smaller trees. So I'm thinking about doing the same thing over on this side too. So, you know, have some nice shrubbery in here. Let's work on our trees first. Let's kind of work on the big stuff and we'll kind of work our way down. I don't want anything massive here. So maybe something like a couple of the smaller birch trees. It looks like we just kind of planted them as saplings. They're still kind of growing. So I imagine the main plaza would have been redone probably a couple times. Probably been more relatively recently. Smaller trees like that kind of makes sense then. And then real like bushes like the green bush and the forest bush. Really wouldn't make any sense because we really haven't let it grown that far out. And with something like this, though, we also would try to keep this a little bit more tidy, just because it is the front of the park. It's kind of the first thing people see as they walk in the gate. So we do want to keep this a little bit short. So what I'm going to do, this scavola, I don't know what this is. It reminds me of a kind of nice ground covering. So essentially what I'm going to do is just going to plant these around, probably do 2 or 3 around each tree. And, nothing too crazy. To kind of get a nice, effect of, that. And then we'll probably do some nice flower bushes around here. Probably what'll be, probably be the best way to do that. Let me try this one here. Right, it's starting to look good, I think. what other good flower bushes? There's a red floral. See how it's a little big, a little big. Let's kind of tuck it down just a little bit so that it looks like it's not this huge imposing bush. But I imagine it's probably a pretty, not invasive, but a very bush that kind of populates quite rather easily. So we can put a couple of those around there. Let's see here. You know, I want to say that you know, these guys would very take care of this, but like, you know, they're still plants. I mean, they may not be, you know, they may not quite form fit to something like this, and so, you know, it might still be the fact that they're still growing as they wish around here. Shrink this down just a little bit more. Something a little bit like that. Maybe these nice red leafy bushes we put kind of along the edge here. Also, I'm not a professional botanist either, so, you know, I'm not a plant person. I don't know how these would actually interact with each other or anything like that, but you know, something like that would do just fine. And we can plate some of the smaller flowers along, maybe not along the edge here, but kind of that idea of them, you know, rotate just a little bit, you know, and then we can kind of fill in this area maybe a little bit better with some flowers and things like that. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. And then I think we can kind of do, I mean, you got these huge blocks. Let's go with this one. This one's a little bit smaller than the other ones are. The other one is, I should say. There's only one more after this. This does look a little more plain though. So it's not like I don't want, you know, I don't have a plan for stuff like this, but you know, you probably wouldn't expect to see, you know, you wouldn't expect these like arches of bushes, kind of thing. Let's see, was there another like good like flowery bush anywhere? Something like that. Maybe we can just kind of sink these out a little bit and kind of make it look like, you know, maybe they're kind of sprouting over here as well. I don't really know. We might actually plant the other style of flowers over here. Just, you know, change it up a little bit. Game's auto-saving. Still auto-saving. Still auto-saving. And we're good. Alright, well, that's nice. So it's a little bit different part of the episode now. It's a little more quieter because it's like I don't know what to talk about plants. Even at Kings Island, I didn't even go back. I mean, I knew a few of the gardeners. Most of the time they were just out cutting grass. Yeah, plant work was not my thing at Kings Island. I mean, I like it, especially with some of the stuff Disney does. Like, if you ever get a chance, I know it's not operating right now. But if you ever get a chance to go on the behind the scenes tour at Epcot, it's actually a really neat little experience. If you've ever ridden Living with a Land, it's a boat ride through their greenhouses. Behind the scenes is actually the kind of the more in-depth version of that. So essentially, it's a guided tour. It's like I think an hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that. But they actually walk you through their greenhouse and actually get to look at some of the plants. You can get to usually try one, which I think is actually kind of neat. It's a little more because it's something that I never done. I've done 3 tours. I've done 3 tours at Disney. All were fantastic. Even the person I've been to Disney 23 times, and I still actually, I'm still finding stuff that I really enjoy doing down there, like the tours. I think it'd be cool. There's a behind the steam tour, which I think is hilariously named. Then actually you go back into the engine shops of the Walt Disney World Railway and go back there, which also is the monorail house. I'd love to go see the monorails like in storage and things like that. I think that'd be amazing, but maybe that's just me. Put a few more of these around here. I've never got to go on that one. Both times that we went on, or we were trying to schedule that one, it was closed. So, kind of stinks. But it's if you're looking for something like that, I think a tour would be kind of fun, especially if you have an extra hour or so. You were didn't really plan on doing something. I still think the Keys to the Kingdom tour is probably the coolest one. I think it's the most expensive one as well. But it is a tour where they actually take you through the Magic Kingdom. They tell you about the design, how they do that, and they usually take you on 2 rides. I think we went on the Jungle Cruise and on the Haunted Mansion, and they actually took you through a back way and kind of showed you behind the scenes of that a little bit. And then actually you get to ride the ride after that, which is pretty cool. You had a lunch during it. They took you down into the utilidors, which is really cool. If you don't know what the utilidors are, you can look them up. But they're essentially an underground tunnel system underneath the Magic Kingdom that all the employees use to get to wherever they're going in the park. So I have been down in those. That is really neat. It's either that or the Yule. I think it's called the Yuletide Carol Tour, which I don't think they're doing this year, unfortunately, because of everything that's going on. But that's actually a really neat one. You met at Epcot, which is a bit of an odd place to meet. You met right outside, kind of off to the side there. If you know where the bus stops are, there's a bathroom right as you come off the buses for Epcot, and we met just a little more towards the entrance there. And they put us on a bus, and they shipped us over to an office. And this office was where they get all the decorations done, or not all the decorations, but like all the the fruit baskets and stuff like that, the gifts and like stuff like that. Like when you enter a room, if you sent somebody a gift, it comes through there. And they also did all the wedding bouquets and stuff like that, which is a really neat experience, a really neat thing. But probably the best part is actually their I don't know if I like all those flowers like that. That's not what I want to delete. One of the neat things, they actually took you behind. So if you ever go like Google Maps or something like that, you can kind of see there's if you follow the monorail line behind the Magic Kingdom, it ends in the monorail shop, but there's a warehouse right behind it. That's where they keep all their Christmas and Halloween decorations, and that's the only reason that building exists, is to hold the Halloween and Christmas decorations. Got to go in there, it's an amazing building. There's people that work year round just on Christmas and Halloween decorations, which is amazing. And right when we were there, they were actually they had just gotten all the Halloween decorations back in. They were sorting them, things like that. But it's hilarious because it's like, so let's say, I know I'm not a very crafty person. I know my mother is, and so I know quite a bit about this. But let's say you're looking for a piece of ribbon, just a piece of ribbon to go on a gift or whatever. First of all, you need to know what color ribbon you have, and that tells you what aisle you need to go look at. And I say aisle because they have aisles of ribbon. And it's like, cool, why do you want this? How much of this do you need? And literally, it looks like, I don't know if you ever go to like Home Depot and you're looking for cable. It looks like that, but it's just full of threads. Like this huge, like just aisles and aisles of, like, not threads, but ribbons and ornaments and stuff like that. And they order so much of this stuff, and it's just sitting there. If they ever need to replace something, they can go right to a place and get it. And it's pretty cool. If you ever get a chance to see that one's pretty neat. You also get to make our own gingerbread man, which was a nutcracker, which I thought was kind of interesting. So there is that planter. It's not perfect, but I think it works. I think it kind of fills that area up a little bit, and it looks a little more overgrown than maybe I'd like it to. If we delete some of the bigger bushes, maybe. And instead, let's actually raise the trees up a little bit. They can actually make them look like trees. I mean, even if they redid this in like the mid-2000s, I mean, you still have, what, 10 years? Or more for those trees to grow. So I think that looks pretty good. Not ideal. You know, maybe, you know, you're still, if you're walking through here, so if you're walking through here, yeah, okay, so it's not as imposing as I thought it was. I still love this view, though, so I don't know if I've ever shown anybody this. But if you see here, it's a good photo spot for Thunder Lake. You can kind of see all the 90s stuff that we've been building. So Phoenix, the lake monster, the swinging ship, and all that is all kind of in this nicely framed packaging, which looks really cool. Like if we ever had a postcard, this would probably be one of them. And I think it's pretty cool. So, that planter is done. What other thing can we actually do? To kind of wrap up, we got about a half hour left. We'll probably wrap up just a little bit early. What other thing can we do? Because I really want to save this employee entrance for another time. Because number one, I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to do that one. It's probably going to be right here where this opening is now, and we'll have quite a few more scanning, or a few more metal detectors, things like that. The employees will then be able to walk out here. So this is about the size of what we had at Kings Island, and it would be backed up every day, and we all hated it because number one, I mean, fair, there were some people that got caught with stuff they didn't need, but most of the time it was just we were just waiting to get into the park and get to work. Excuse me. I just don't know what else we could be doing. You know what? We need to move our guys because I forgot to move them to their new home. Because this was the building that was, or this building here was originally over where these guys were standing. So we can move this over to here. I guess what we could do, there's one more thing I do want to add. It's kind of a smaller detail. Number one, we have people frolicking in the fountains here. Need to move these people. There we go. So, kind of the idea is, if you ever go to like Kings Island or any really Cedar Fair park, right outside the gate usually is actually a store that just sells merch or just sells souvenir bottles. I think it's actually not a bad idea to actually put one up in here. So maybe put it right here, and it's gonna be a small, almost cart looking place. There actually is a Theme Maker's Toolkit item I do want to use as kind of a basis for this. I gotta find it first. I won't be able to find it now. That's kind of how this is going today. Not quite it. Oh yeah, I forgot I got that one. That's pretty neat. There's a couple things on here I did forget. I remember I downloaded relatively recently. I know what that is. Never mind. Where is what I was looking for? Ah, here it is. This is already on wheels, so this could very easily be rolled out of a morning and placed there. But essentially, is that the souvenir bottles? I think it is. Cool. I really need to get these retextured to Thunder Lake. So this generic park, or whatever that is. Don't quite know what it is. But essentially, this whole thing would just be souvenir bottles. So let's add these to a group and edit this. And we'll duplicate these. Use the world axis at all. That's going to help us a little bit. Come on. Come on. Do we really only have room for 2? Oh, I don't know if I like... Well... If we fudge it a little bit, we can kind of make it look like we can put 3 on here. So... There we go. Slide this one back just a little bit. I'm going to highlight all 3 of these and start duplicating them down. Because yes, we're going to pretty much fill this entire thing up with souvenir bottles. Because that's really the only thing that this thing's going to sell. And it seems kind of odd. Why would somebody do this? Well, number one, if you actually see them and like, hey, this actually is a really good deal, which in some cases it is. And I'm not saying it's not. And there's some cases that it's not worth it. But there we go. Now, see, here's the problem. This looks too nice. And, you know, if you ever worked in a store, you kind of know that this never would happen. Come on, let me highlight what I want to. Yeah, we can do that. So what we're going to go through and just start deleting a few of them. Not all of them. Let's actually move the stand out right this second. Place it there, and then we can kind of come in here and just delete a few. We don't have to delete them all. Let's see, we'll delete, come on. These aren't going to cooperate, and that's what's the problem going to be. Do something like that. Yep, that'll work. Delete that one. We'll delete this entire row here. And this one will have fallen over onto its side. Because that's, for some reason, these things are not the best to stand up like that. We'll get rid of that one. So now, this looks more like, you know, something that it's being used, it's being sold, and you know, it seems like it's actually operating, and that's kind of the idea about this whole thing. Also, then you put some park maps. I think that would be great here. But let's go ahead and get a scenery. So we get a crate. Oh, well, maybe. I need to get back into here because this is one group. Go to crate, and we'll have to go back to all. So I do like using these crates as countertops because I think they work really well as countertops. If you look here, they're about the right height. They're about hip height, which is about what I'd like to see. The only problem with, though, is that the one, at least at Kings Island, and it could be the same for other places, is that the souvenir bottles are absolutely massive. Actually, it is pretty much like either side is frankly probably about a 10-foot tall souvenir cup. I can't quite do that here. I wish I could. If somebody out there would figure out how to scale these up to about 10 foot, you know, I would love that. Just as advertisement. That's all it really would be. But, I think I want to do one of these. So we got a nice touchscreen register. We're using something a little bit more modern there. We'll have 2 people on here because that makes kind of sense. Because then we can actually sell as many bottles as we can. We'll even put a few. I don't have any over here. What is this thing called? It's going to drive me crazy. Uh-oh. Oh, it's auto-saving. Okay, I thought that was going to be the end of it for a second. Come on. What is this called? So it's called a souvenir cup. All right, well, I feel kind of dumb now. We'll put a couple of them over here. I see like there's somebody buying 1 or 2. Because remember, the more you buy, the more you save. That's what they always said. So I do want to put up trying to think what would be the best way to do this, and that's if I do go over here and do a screen, maybe. If you remember, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. 16, 32, 4. These are way too big for what I'm going to use them for. There is... it might be in here. Let me look in here again. So there was something that I think was included in the Studios pack that we could very well use for something like this. And let me see if I can find it again. Essentially, if you remember from, I think, the first or second stream I did here, in Planet Coaster, we actually did something for our Shrimp Shack. We actually have menu boards for it. But the menu boards also included a advertisement for souvenir cups. So I think if we can figure out... There's something, if I remember correctly, we can use to actually... And they're a little bit smaller, too. But also, while I'm thinking about it, I want to put some cardboard boxes back here. Not massive ones, but big boxes. That essentially, these are what the souvenir cups would come in. And that's pretty much what they look like. We'll even put some in the grass here. I might actually change this, make a small concrete pad here. Just for, so that the employees have somewhere to stand. Funny enough, there's our curb, so let's do that real quick. Forgot this came in Studios pack. But, then again, that's okay. Well, once we do the curbing here, we can kind of cut this out too, and this will be kind of the rest of our planter here. It'll stick through a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not too fussed about that. What's this? Alright, special effects. Don't see what I'm looking for here, so maybe it's in buildings. So let me go check there. Go to... Come on. Content Packs, Studios. Is that really it for here? Alright, well... It's not what I thought it would be. Alright, well... Huh. I really thought that was part of the Studios pack. Essentially, there's these little screens, and they're not called screens, but they're called something else that you can put photos on. Is there a way we can just set it to where we can edit them? Let's look here. Prop type. Maybe not. Brand. Oh, so what will that mean by that? But that makes sense. Billboard. Hold on, that might be something we can look at. Or not. We might just have to use the 1 meter screen again, which is fine. It's not like it's a huge deal. TV. Oh, that's TW. Close. But no, I need the stands. Or is it called mounts? I think that might be called mount. Here they are. Let's go ahead and place it there. I think that'll work. And I'll move this. Let's go ahead and line this to surface and make it angle snap. There we go. Let's actually add in our advertisement. Make sure that works. Hey, there it is. What's this one? Oh, that was the sideway was. Okay. You can see here, we do have our souvenir bottle, which I'll show you here in a second. Because I don't think, some of the newer people might not have seen these. Especially if you didn't go back and watch the original ones, which, if not, it's okay. But it makes sense. As you can see here, these actually do have the Thunder Lake, one of the Thunder Lake logos on them. which actually it's a full, which almost might have to redo this now because it's almost the 2021 season. Because that's how years work. So yeah, there's our advertisement. We actually, you know what? Let's, since it's supposed to be kind of a cheap cart, let's, come on, there we go. Let's slide this over to the middle here. And then we can have two sides to serve on, and kind of the advertisement right in the middle there. So then I'm not too, I mean, it's a little bit better than I thought, you know, it'd be a little bit easier that way. So people are like, oh, okay, well, you know, they can kind of see, I guess, a little bit better that way. But as much as I kind of complain about them a little bit, the souvenir bottles aren't a bad idea, especially for the park. I mean, you sell them for $12. I think those things are like maybe 50 cents each. So I mean, they get a huge markup, and they also, you get free refills usually either that day or throughout the year, stuff like that, or they're really cheap refills. So I don't know. I think this needs something, and I don't know. Maybe an umbrella, maybe some stuff in the back to make it look a little bit more hospitable. Let's throw an umbrella up here, because something that would probably have here is an umbrella, just so that it'd be a little easier on the workers, because sometimes, especially around this area, probably get pretty warm. So direct sunlight would kind of suck. Slide that back to there. All right, let's look at another cart. Let's look at our other carts that we've built in the park, which I think our closest one's actually over here. What else do we have back here is my question. We do have some tread plates. We probably need a couple of those. Electrical, I'm not really worried about. Well, we might need electrical. Yeah, let's go ahead and do. So we'll do the tread plates and probably some electrical. Might call that little area done for now until we can find some bigger souvenir cups we can use as advertisement. Let's see here. Tread plates, which I think are in Theme Maker's Toolkit. TRE. What's called mat? Maybe not. All right, let's see what those are real quick, because there actually might be some a little bit closer here. They're back here. No, don't have any back there. Probably should, but I don't. Here, there's some here. These are called tactile path panels. So let's duplicate that and slide that over to the stand over here. So while this wouldn't technically be food service because we're not serving any food or drinks here, still would probably be a little bit easier to have these around, just in case the concrete might be slick or something like that. Probably not be the worst thing to have these out here. Alright, there we go. There is kind of our little bottle cart so far. It's not ideal. I'd like to have some advertisements there. We might need to revisit that. See if we can find some bigger bottles for advertisements. Maybe do a little bit better counter. But really, that's all these things are. They're really just a counter to sell souvenir bottles out of. And they're not much. But I think right now, this is kind of where I'm going to start wrapping it up. If you haven't been here since the beginning, I'll go back through and kind of show you kind of the progress we did. So the past couple of streams, we have been working on this front entrance area. So you can see here, the first kind of thing we did was this ticket area. This is stream number 1. So if you guys are curious, though, if you guys want to go back and watch how I built this stuff, you can always go into my YouTube channel and check it out there and kind of see how all this came together. And I really do like this new ticket home. We didn't have one before, and we kind of built ourselves into a corner of how we can build these things, and I think how it turned out is fantastic. We got a lost and found off to the left here, and this is actually a season pass processing area. for that, as well as some ticket sales. We do have a couple people working, as well as a will call. And then we have our new entrance here, as we saw. You saw the part of it being, or most of it being built today. There's some things that were built last stream, but most of it was built, at least this part was built in last stream. But as we come through the entrance here, this is all brand new from this stream. We actually did remove the roof from this area, so we opened up this plaza quite a bit. We do have our guest relations. We might need to put a sign up there eventually. But we do have our guest relations here. And our bathrooms over here still, but we just left this area a little more open. I quite like removing that, opening this up quite a bit. I think I don't know, it just makes it look a little bit nicer, as well as we did the locker area as well. Everything is pretty much where it should be now. I do realize that I didn't replace these walls here. I actually didn't plan on it to actually replace these walls. If you look here though, let me actually kind of pull it back. We do have a little bit of space between the back wall and this wall. I can always move that and make more lockers, which probably wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. But for right now, let's throw up a blue wall there. Maybe this part becomes a little more popular. We can put more lockers in there. We also did the bottle cart, which you just saw. And that was pretty much our whole stream. We did a lot. We actually kind of got the main structure of the front gate redone. And if you kind of look along the boardwalk here, we haven't been over here in a little bit. But if you kind of look along the boardwalk here, you can kind of see that it really kind of does fit in with these buildings here more than it did before. And that's kind of what I want to do. You can see here, our main strip farm is still probably the most popular part of the park. This is probably the busiest part, and I think it fits in a lot better. I think it doesn't really stick out as much as it did, and I think it looks better. And so I think this is a really good update for this area. I don't think we will have to do this much more. We probably won't do much more on the front area here. Next stream, we will probably do work on here and maybe a little in the backstage area. We do want to make a new employee entrance right here, and actually probably take out some trees here and actually make an employee pathway here, just so that the employees can get in and out of here a little bit faster. We could do some more work on this backstage area back here. We do have one warehouse. We need quite a few more, at least probably 2 more. One for general stuff, things like anything from TVs, wires, things like that, to and the other warehouse would be like merchandise and store themes and stuff like that. So kind of some big stuff I kind of want to work on next time. That might be an idea. I know we also have our 90s section, which we was working on. Let's zoom over here. You can kind of see we've kind of filled in this area pretty well. The problem is I'm having some issues kind of come up with ideas for this ride here. You can start to see this area is starting to fill up a little bit more. The lake monster is starting to get some people in there. Same with Phoenix, which is a little bright as you kind of come over here. But I think we can kind of work all this out, and if I can get some more ideas, it'd be great for this area. But I think other than that, guys, I think that's where I'm going to call it today. So let me go ahead and save the park here. I'm going to have a nice overview shot of the entire park as it stands right now. And then I'll do a little outro. You guys save park. Yes. Come on. There we go. So let me pop over to the main camera, guys. Oh, that's the countdown screen. There we go. Well, guys, thank you guys for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are curious on how to kind of support me, the best way you can do that is actually just leaving a follow. I'm up to 46 followers, so we're only 4 away from our 50 follower goal for the end of the year. We're getting close to the end of the year. Once again, I probably won't be streaming on Black Friday. Just kind of a thought there. I was thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, I might just leave that one off because I might still be in a food coma from Thursday. Let's just be real here. And so I think I'll be taking Black Friday off. So next week is Thanksgiving. I think it is. Something like that. So probably no Friday stream next week. I'll still do a Planet Coaster stream, and I'll still be streaming this Friday. If you are curious about my schedule, though, I do stream 2 times a week, every Wednesday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually Wednesdays we're playing Planet Coaster and seeing what we can build in Thunder Lake here. We're trying to get the park done. We're quite a ways down. We went back and redid the entrance, and I think it really needed it. And I think once we kind of complete that, we can start back in the 90s section and keep working our way around the lake, which there's not really much left to do. And on Fridays, we've been kind of playing a plethora of games. We've been playing Factorio recently, which we're getting towards the end of that game, and I really do want to just kind of complete that game, and then we'll move on to something else. We can do some iRacing. We can do there's a whole plethora of games I can take out and see what we can do. But for now, guys, I think that's going to be it from me. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and Thursday. I'll see you guys back here on Friday for some Factorio. I don't know what we'll be doing in there yet, but I hope it'll be a good time either way. So, guys, take care. I'll see you guys on Friday.